If your spare room looks more like a storage unit than a place to relax, you're not alone. The average American senior has accumulated hundreds of thousands of items over a lifetime, and for many, the idea of decluttering feels overwhelming, emotional, and sometimes even impossible. But here's something most people, including those expensive professional organizers, rarely tell you. Clutter is not really about stuff. It is about identity. It is about emotion. And most of all, it is about the version of ourselves we are holding on to, or afraid to let go of. In this video, I am going to walk you through 6 powerful decluttering secrets that most organizers do not share publicly. These are not just tips about what to keep and what to toss. These are deep mindset shifts that change how you relate to your space and to yourself. And stay with me, because the 6th secret is the one that often brings the biggest emotional release and the most lasting freedom. So, whether you are just starting out or you have tried to declutter before and it did not stick, this time we are doing it differently, with insight, with compassion, and with real tools that work. Let's begin. Secret number 1, the future self method. Most organizing advice starts with a question like, should I keep this? But for many older adults, especially women over the age of 60, that question can feel heavy. It pulls you backward. It asks you to justify why something mattered in the past. But what if we turn that around? What if, instead of asking if something deserves to stay because of your past, you asked whether it belongs in your future? That is the heart of the future self method. This approach begins by asking a very simple yet powerful question. Who do I want to be in the next 10 years of my life? When Martha, a 73-year-old widow I worked with, asked herself that question, everything shifted. She realized she no longer wanted to host big dinner parties like she used to. What she wanted now was cozy meals with her grandchildren, quiet mornings with watercolor paints, simplicity, space, peace. Once she knew what her next chapter looked like, it became much easier to let go of things that no longer served that vision, like the 12 serving platters collecting dust in her cabinets. The future self method works because it gives you clarity. You are no longer sorting through the past. You're shaping your future. So take a moment right now and picture the version of you 10 years from today. Where do you live? What kind of life are you living? What brings you joy, or peace, or purpose? Then ask yourself, one item at a time, does this belong in that life? Coming up next, we will talk about a mistake that causes most people to reclutter within 18 months, and how to avoid it completely. You're not going to want to miss this. Secret number 2, the threshold mastery protocol. Here is a surprising truth that most organizing experts will never tell you. Most people who declutter their homes end up needing to do it all over again within just 18 months. Why? Because they focus only on what is already inside their home. They forget to control what comes in next. That is where the threshold mastery protocol comes in. This method helps you become the gatekeeper of your home, the person who decides what is allowed into your space and what is not. For seniors especially, new clutter often comes in quietly. A friend offers you a box of decorations they no longer want. Your adult children drop off childhood keepsakes, just for now. You buy something online late at night that feels comforting in the moment, but ends up unused. Before you know it, your space starts to fill again. The threshold mastery protocol teaches you to pause before anything crosses the threshold of your home, and it starts with 3 simple questions. First, am I accepting this out of guilt, obligation, or true desire? Second, does this item support the lifestyle I actually live today, not the one I used to have or hope to have someday? And third, if I say yes to this item, what am I saying no to in terms of space, time, or peace of mind? Martha realized she was still shopping for large dinner parties she no longer hosted. She was also saying yes to every friend's cast-offs, just to be polite. Once she paused and asked herself those 3 questions, her habits changed completely. She even created a consideration shelf near her front door, a spot where she could place any item she was unsure about and give herself 48 hours before making a decision. And that brings us to the most important part of this secret, the 48-hour pause. If something is not essential, let it sit for 2 full days. Most of the time, you will realize you do not really need it after all. This one shift will not only help you declutter, it will help you stay decluttered. Up next, we are going to explore why some items feel impossible to part with and how to let go without losing what matters most. Stay with me. Secret number 3, emotional anchoring. Now we move into deeper waters, the heart of why decluttering is so hard for so many of us. Because for seniors, and especially for women who've raised families and lived rich lives, clutter is not just about stuff. It is about stories. It is about identity. And above all, it is about love. That sewing machine in the corner? It is not just a tool. It is your mother's hands. That jacket you have not worn in years? It still holds the shape of your late husband's shoulders. Even that broken lamp might remind you of the day your daughter moved into her first apartment. Letting go of these things can feel like letting go of the people, moments, or parts of yourself that you are not ready to say goodbye to. That is where the emotional anchoring system comes in. This system helps you hold on to what matters, without holding on to everything. Here is how it works. Step 1. For each group of meaningful items, like your late spouse's belongings, your children's keepsakes, or your career memorabilia, pause and ask, what emotion or memory does this represent? Step 2. Choose 1 or 2 signature items that capture the heart of that memory. Step 3. Create a way to anchor the story so the meaning stays with you, even if the rest of the items go. For example, Martha had hundreds of tools from her husband's old workshop. She could not bear to part with them, not because she used them, but because they reminded her of him. Fixing things, building projects, just being there. Together, we chose his favorite hammer, mounted it in a shadow box, and placed it next to a photo of him in the garage. That one object held more meaning than all the boxes combined. It became her anchor, a beautiful tribute, instead of a burden. You can do this too. Whether it's a few special letters, a recipe card in your grandmother's handwriting, or a piece of jewelry you only wore once, ask yourself, how can I honor this story without being overwhelmed by all the objects? Some people make quilts from clothing. Some create photo books. Some hold a letting go ritual with family. The method you choose does not matter. What matters is this: you are not losing the memory. You are giving it space to breathe. Coming up next, we will talk about a common belief that keeps homes full of things no one really wants, and how one simple conversation can set you free. Stick around. Secret number 4, the gentle legacy conversation. There is a quiet belief that many older adults carry in their hearts, especially mothers and grandmothers. It is the belief that one day, when the time comes, their children or grandchildren will be grateful for the things they've saved. The fine china, the family photos, the boxes of baby clothes, school projects, Christmas ornaments, and carefully folded linens passed down from generations past. But here's a truth that is difficult, yet important to hear. Studies show that 65% of adult children do not want their parents' possessions. It is not because they don't care. It's not because the memories don't matter. It's simply because the world has changed. They live in smaller homes or apartments. Their tastes are different. Their lifestyles are more minimal. And what feels precious to you may feel like pressure to them. Most professional organizers avoid this conversation. It is emotional. It is personal. But avoiding it only creates more confusion for you and for your family. That's why I recommend something I call the gentle legacy conversation. This isn't about getting rid of everything. It's about opening up the conversation now, while there's still time to share, explain, and connect. Here's how to start. First, take inventory of the sentimental items in your home and divide them into 3 categories. The first category is items to enjoy now. These are pieces you love, like a favorite dish, quilt, or painting. Don't hide them in boxes. Use them. Let them be part of your daily life. The second category is items to document and release. Take photos, write captions, scan old letters. The third category is items to pass down now, not later. Now. Then invite your loved ones over. Maybe for coffee, maybe for a meal. Ask them with love and curiosity. Which things here remind you of me? What would you truly want to keep? When Martha did this with her daughters, the results surprised her. One wanted a small painting. Another wanted handwritten recipes. Neither wanted the expensive china she had been saving. But the conversation turned into a celebration of memory, of connection, and of legacy. And that's something no object can replace. Secret number 5, energy mapping your home. Think of your home not just as a collection of rooms and furniture, but as a map of your energy. Every space in your home carries a certain feeling. Some rooms feel light, open, and peaceful. Others feel heavy, crowded, or just stuck. And often, we avoid the rooms that reflect what we haven't been ready to face. This is where energy mapping comes in. Energy mapping means walking through your home with fresh eyes. You're not just looking at what's in each room. You're noticing how each room makes you feel. Does it support the life you want now? Or does it pull you back into a version of yourself you've outgrown? Start in the room you use the most, maybe the kitchen, the living room, or your bedroom. Look around. Are there piles that seem to grow no matter how often you clean? Are there corners that collect items you don't know what to do with? Those are what we call energy traps. Now, move to the places you avoid. For many people, that's the spare bedroom. For others, it might be the garage, the office, or a basement filled with old boxes. Don't rush. Just notice. What emotions come up? Guilt? Grief? Overwhelm? For Martha, the most emotionally blocked space was her guest room. After her husband passed, it became the dumping ground for everything she didn't know how to deal with. Old paperwork, unopened boxes, and furniture from another life. She hadn't opened the curtains in over a year. Once she began energy mapping, she realized that room wasn't just full of things. It was full of avoidance. She cleared it, step by step, with intention. And then she turned it into something completely new, a sunlit studio for watercolor painting. A space that reflected who she was becoming, not what she had lost. This is the power of energy mapping. It shows you not only where your clutter is, but how it's shaping your experience every day. When you reclaim your rooms, you're also reclaiming parts of yourself. So ask yourself now, what is the one room in your home that feels the most draining? And what would it take to turn it into a place that gives you life again? Secret number 6, the compassion closet rule. For many women, the closet is more than a place to hang clothes. It's a timeline, a memory chest, a quiet museum of who we were, or who we hoped to become. Maybe you've held on to outfits from 20 years ago, just in case, or those expensive shoes you wore once to a wedding. Maybe you even have jeans you haven't fit into in a decade, but still keep. Not because you wear them, but because you wish you could. This is so common, and it's so human. But here's the question that changes everything. When you open your closet, how do you feel? Do you feel supported by your clothes? Or do you feel judged by them? The compassion closet rule is simple but powerful. It invites you to keep only the clothing that is kind to your body, your lifestyle, and your spirit right now. Not someday, not if, not when I lose weight, but today. When Martha stood in front of her closet, she saw clothes from 3 different lives: her professional wardrobe from before retirement, party dresses she hadn't worn in years, and an entire section labeled goal clothes. Every morning, instead of feeling confident, she felt behind. Like she was always trying to catch up with a past version of herself. So we made a new rule together. If it doesn't make you feel good today, it doesn't belong. She kept the soft cardigan her granddaughter complimented last Thanksgiving, the blouse she wears when she paints, the jeans that feel like a hug, not a punishment. Everything else? We let it go. With kindness, with gratitude, with the reminder that someone else may be needing exactly what she was ready to release. And that's the beauty of this rule. You're not just decluttering, you're giving. You're giving yourself freedom from silent shame, and you're giving someone else clothing that fits their life. So, here's your gentle challenge. The next time you stand in front of your closet, choose just 3 items that no longer speak to the woman you are now. Say thank you, and let them go. Because you deserve to open a closet that says, you are enough, just as you are, right now. Bonus story: Elaine's closet. Elaine is 76 years old and has lived in the same ranch-style home in Minnesota for over 40 years. When her husband passed away 5 years ago, she stopped using their shared bedroom and moved into the smaller guest room. It just felt easier, she told me, less empty. But over time, that guest room began to feel smaller and smaller. Not because the space had changed, but because it had quietly become a storage room. For grief, for guilt, for everything she didn't know what to do with. One afternoon, we sat in that room together. Sunlight came through the curtain just enough to show the layers of boxes and bags stacked along the walls. There were 6 large bins marked Steve. Inside were old suits, ties, baseball caps, and even unopened mail. On the closet floor lay a stack of old calendars Elaine had saved since the 1980s, each filled with her neat handwriting and little family notes she couldn't bring herself to throw away. I feel like I'm keeping his life alive, she said quietly, but I also feel stuck. That moment became our turning point. We started slowly. 1 item, 1 breath, 1 memory at a time. She chose to keep her husband's favorite cardigan, the one he wore every Sunday, and had it made into a pillow for her reading chair. She framed a handwritten note he had once left on the fridge. She digitized all the calendars, then picked 1 or 2 special pages to keep in her journal. And then, something shifted. Elaine decided to reclaim her old bedroom. We cleared it together, painted it pale yellow, hung up a new mirror. She opened the closet, tried on her favorite red blouse, and smiled at herself in the reflection. I thought that part of me was gone, she said. Turns out she was just buried under a few too many memories. Sometimes decluttering isn't about clearing space. It's about coming home to yourself after years of holding your breath. And that brings us to the heart of this journey. You've heard the 6 secrets, from envisioning your future self to mastering what crosses your threshold, to letting go of emotional weight with grace and clarity. You've walked through rooms of memory, rooms of energy, and even stood in front of a closet with new eyes. But here's the truth I want you to carry with you, even after this video ends. Your home is not a museum for everything you've ever owned. It's a living, breathing space meant to support the version of you that's here right now, and the version you're still becoming. When Martha cleared her guest room, when Elaine opened her old closet, they weren't just decluttering. They were reclaiming pieces of themselves. They were making space for art, for light, for laughter, for visits from grandchildren, and for the quiet kind of peace that doesn't always come easily in a world full of noise. And you can too. Maybe your next step is small, like saying goodbye to 3 items in your closet that no longer feel kind. Or maybe it's big, like opening the door to a room you haven't entered in years. Whatever it is, I want you to remember, you're not doing this alone. There's a whole community here, walking this path alongside you. If this video spoke to your heart, please consider sharing it with someone who may need a little courage today. And let me know in the comments. Which of the 6 secrets felt most personal to you? Until next time, take good care of yourself and your space. You deserve peace, you deserve clarity, and you deserve a home that supports the life you want now.